Salutations, everybody! Teching 101 here, and a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody. This will be the final chapter of One Piece in the year 2023. Chapter 1102, titled The Life of Kuma. And my goodness, was it a marvelous life. It was even, as I would say, a wonderful life indeed. You know, I always love around this time of the year going back and looking at the first chapter of the year and just being stunned and amazed of how much time has passed since the beginning of the year, okay? So I believe the first chapter of the year 2023 was chapter, I think, 1071. It was the chapter where Kuma crashed into the red line and started climbing it. So just to give you a perspective on that, Kuma crashed into the red line, climbed the whole thing, made it to the top, fought a Kainu, and then flew off into the new world. And he still hasn't reached his destination yet, all right? So that's a plot thread that's still ongoing. It was also the chapter where Kaku and Lucci and Stussy infiltrated the Labosphere. It was when Kaku shot a Rankyaku technique at the Thousand Sunny, and that woke Zoro up from his nap, and he's just like, oh, what's going on? Oh, the giraffe guy. All right, I'm fighting you again. And Kaku's like, Roronoa, you know? And so that was that chapter. That was a year ago almost. That's crazy, right? Oh, magnificent. Okay, anyway, cover page this week, we have Bonney eating a hot dog with a bunch of wolves. Yeah, you know, hot dogs, they get a bad rap. You know, they got lots of meat, they got protein, a lot of sodium in hot dogs. You know what? Go and check out a YouTube channel. I love cooking, so I follow a lot of cooking channels. There's a YouTube channel called Sam the Cooking Guy, led by Sam, who's a cooking guy, and he has a whole crew. Marvelous channel, and he has some really good gourmet hot dog recipes on there. My goodness. You deep fry your hot dogs, put some really good quality mustard, some caramelized onions on those things, some good relish. You can make a hot dog really gourmet. You really can, okay? And that's America right there. All right, well anyway, Bonnie's eating all the hot dogs and the wolves are really getting mad that she's eating all the hot dogs, but whatever, okay. So, chapter begins right where we left off. Bonney and the Bonney Pirates have been formed, her and a bunch of random fishermen from the Sorbet Kingdom, but don't doubt fishermen, ladies and gentlemen. I'm playing a fisherman in a D&D campaign right now, and he's a real badass. Don't doubt Kai, all right? Fishermen are the strongest in One Piece. Okay, listen, this is the shakedown, all right? You got the Yonko, you got the admirals, you got fishermen, and then you got all the other pirates, revolutionaries, and all the other marines that are below admiral, okay? Fishermen are high tier, okay? All right. Well, anyway, it's really kind of funny because you know how, like, Luffy was kind of, like, just, you know, meandering his way through the East Blue? Luffy really didn't have a plan. He was just like, all right, I'm going to gather some people for my pirate crew. Hey, green-haired guy, you want to be a member of my crew? Orange-haired girl. Hey, dude with a long nose that tells a lot of lies. You want to join? Hey, blonde guy that makes some good food. You want to join? And they're like, okay. And they all join, and they just beat the crap out of the strongest pirates in the East. That's just how it ended up happening. Kind of something similar here with Bonney. Bonnie's like, all right, everybody, let's go out to sea. Okay, Bonney. Hey, oh, you should call me Captain, because I'm the captain now. Okay, Captain Bonney. What are we going to call our crew? The Bonney Pirates. Okay. And so they're storming their way through the South Blue, just like Luffy did with the East Blue. We're going to see pretty soon that this chapter has caught up to the beginning of One Piece. We're going to see events from the first part of the One Piece story concurrently with Kuma's side of things. Kind of like how in Back to the Future Part 2, where Marty goes back to 1955, where he was in the first movie, and we get to see the events of the first movie from the second movie, but from different angles. It's kind of like that, but with Kuma. It's great. Anyway, so the Bonney Pirates are attacking a town because they heard that Kuma was there. Obviously, the whole goal, just like Luffy's looking for the One Piece, Bonney is looking for her father. She's trying to find Kuma, okay? So they got word that, oh yeah, Kuma is definitely on this island. Let's go. And she's like, yeah, actually, I don't know if this is the South Blue. It could be the Grand Line for as far as I know. It doesn't really specify where it's at. But anyway, they attack the island, and the Marines are there, and the Marines are getting ready. It's like, oh, those are the Bonney Pirates. I heard the last island they walked through was filled with injured children and old men. We haven't seen old people slaughter on a level like this since Devil's Luck William about 20 years ago. You know, form a partition, men. We will not let them through. You know, and of course, Bonney, because of her age fruit, she's the one that's resulting in this. So she walks through the Marines. She just has a stick. She just picks up a stick or like a great club kind of thing and just smacks the Marines around. One Marine turns into a little kid. One Marine turns into an old dude. Obviously, they get injured in the process of getting smacked around, so that's where that comes from. Bonney is not actually injuring, you know, elderly people. Well, she is, but she's turning a Marine into an elderly person and then injuring them. Does that work? I guess it works. Also, it's a really cool scene when she's walking through and fighting the Marines, like charging through. Their swords are also being corroded and rusted apart. Okay, and I actually missed that the first time through. So she like took her stick and was just like smacking the Marines around, turning them into an old man. Like, no! Oh, my arthritis! But then also the cutlass that he was wielding got hit as well and just corrodes into just, you know, gets oxidized like instantly and just collapses. So Bonney basically has the power of the rust fruit on top of the ability to manipulate ages, kind of like Shinobu's mature fruit. She also has an ability called NDE, which allows her to just, you know, force a near-death experience on somebody and watch their flesh slog off their skeleton like, oh God! You know, there are some devil fruits in this story that are capable of so many different abilities. Like Law's Op fruit is a common one. Law has the ability to like manipulate like forces like gravity and inertia, like moving stuff around using tact. He has electrical abilities with his counter shock. He can flip people's personalities. He can, you know, heal people using the surgery skills. He can give people, you know, immortality or at least eternal youth kind of thing. That's definitely a broken fruit that has a list of stuff it can do. Sugar's Hobby no Mi gives the ability to stay young forever, also has the ability to turn people into toys, also has the ability to remove the memories of anybody that, you know, knew the people that were turned into toys, also has the ability to make a contract with the toys so they have to obey you. That's a fruit that has some broken stuff as well to it, and also some combat abilities too. So yeah, this fruit is definitely getting on that level, all right? Well, anyway, Kuma is in fact in the town. He's on the outskirts. Bonney and her crew just start grabbing random people on the streets like, I'm looking for a big guy. He's got glasses and a little bear hat. Where is he? It's just like, yeah, I saw him. He's on the outskirts of town. Please don't hurt me. It's just like, okay. Now, Kuma is there, and we actually see him at a distance observing everything happening in town, and he's just like, I can't see you, Bonney. Please understand. I can't believe she became a pirate of all things. Oh well, you mustn't chase after me. Pop, and then he just sends himself flying using his Pawpaw abilities, okay? And then you cut it out to sea with Bonney in the Jewelry Margarita, which is the name of her ship. I think it is the same ship that we saw last chapter. They just added to it a little bit. I thought her original ship, the one on the docks of Sorbet that they kind of repainted a fishing vessel, I thought that was a little smaller than the Jewelry Margarita we see later, but I think it is the same ship. But they did add a new figurehead to it, which is the one we see here, and then also they did update the Jolly Roger at this point. Like I said, this is happening concurrently with, because we're going to see Luffy getting his first bounty in the next panel. So after Luffy has defeated Arlong and he got the 30 million, okay, so this is at the end of the East Blue. And also remember, Bonney left earlier than Luffy. I think she started her adventure 6 months before Luffy left Fuchsia. Okay, so she could probably very well be in the Grand Line right now, because I don't think it took Luffy 6 months to get to the Grand Line. From the time he left Fuchsia to the time they entered the Grand Line, maybe like, I don't know, 2-3 months most. And even if that might have been maybe a little bit too much. But anyway, yeah, when it comes to exact timelines with the story, like Oda's really good at the years, but when it comes down to the exact months, that's sort of something he just leaves up for like debate. It's just like, yeah, it's around this time, you know? So let's talk about why Kuma he's like, I cannot see you, Bonney. Please understand. Farewell. Pop. Okay. This bugged me, and I feel like I must be missing something big here. I went back and, the chapter where Saturn was going through the different stipulations, right? And I'm looking through it, and I'm like, okay, it made sense then because Bonney's, treatment was ongoing. So, if Kuma tried to see Bonney or went back on his word against the deal that he made with Saturn, then Bonney's treatment might not be finished, and Bonney could be killed because she was being watched over by Alpha and Cypher Pole 8. So that made sense why Kuma didn't see her then. But things are different now. Number one, Bonney is cured 100%. She's cured. They can't use Sapphire Scale as the disease. Like, oh, Kuma, if you see your daughter, she won't be cured. No, she's already cured. That's already taken care of. I guess you could argue Kuma might not know that, but like, from what Vegapunk told him, this is definitely at the point where she would have been cured. Also, she's not being guarded by, she knocked out Alpha. So, she's clearly strong enough, so she can't really be, also, all of her, crew is there to protect her, Gyo and Potato and Tots, and we've already established how strong fishermen are, right? So, I don't understand, like, what's keeping Kuma from just popping over and saying hi to Bonney? I don't get it anymore. Like, now granted, they wouldn't just be able to, like, go back to the Sorbet Kingdom and live happily ever after. I understand that much because Kuma's kind of in too deep right now. He's a member of the Warlords and the government. Maybe Kuma's afraid that, like, if I contact Bonney, then, I don't know what he's afraid of. Is he afraid that, like, okay, if I'm with Bonney and we're traveling together, then they're gonna send even stronger members of Cypher Pole at us. They might send the other warlords at us. They might send the admirals at us, and then that might be too dangerous. Maybe, but like, that's only if Kuma and Bonney were like, traveling together. What's stopping Kuma from just meeting with Bonney for like a half an hour and just explaining to her, like, Bonney, oh my God, I've missed you so much, Dad! And then they hug, and then they're like, okay, listen. There's some problems going on right now, okay? I can't travel with you. I wish I could, but I can't. And of course, Bonney would be upset by that. Like, what? No, I just found you. Like, listen, Bonney. You've become a really strong pirate. Didn't expect that, by the way, but okay, congratulations on being a pirate. That your ship? That ship looks cool. Great, fantastic. But I can't travel with you right now because I'm a warlord. They could send admirals. They could send Cypher Pole. That's not good. I don't know what Kuma would say because she can't really go back to Sorbet after what she did, and she can't travel with Kuma. So I don't know. Maybe Kuma could be like, let me deal with some situations and stuff, and maybe we can go off and live somewhere, in some area of the world where the government can't reach us or something. Like maybe, I don't know. But just the idea that Kuma's just like, I can't see you, Bonney. Like, what's stopping Kuma from like 10 minutes, a 10-minute conversation with his daughter? What's that going to, like, what's the big reason why he can't do that? I feel like I'm really missing something big here, and I can't see it, okay? Like, it's not like, is Saturn gonna just appear in the magic circle right in front of them? I mean, maybe he could, considering from what we've seen with Saturn's ability, but I just don't see that reasoning, because all of the leverage that the government had over Kuma is now gone. Bonney is cured, and Cypher Pole 8 is no longer, having Bonney, like, on lockdown, essentially. So, I don't see the reason why he can't just talk to his daughter really quick, tell her everything that's been going on, and then they might have to go their separate ways again, but, I don't see the issue there, okay? Anyway, so Bonney is leaving, and they're like, okay, well, I guess he wasn't there. We gotta go find him somewhere else. Okay, even if it takes a while, we'll find him eventually, right? And so Bonney also brings up that, hey, since we're already pirates and we're exploring the world, why don't we go look for the sun god, Nikai? Yeah, just like Dad. It'd be really cool if I found Dad and I'm like, hey, Dad, I found the sun god you used to worship. He was on so-and-so island. Write that down. So-and-so island is where Nika is. Just write it down right now. I'm telling you what. Okay. So he's like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, Captain Bonney, let's go do that. Let's go find the sun god. Yeah. I imagine the fishermen, like Gyo, Tots, and Potato, they're just having a blast with this. They're just like, okay, Captain, I was a fisherman a couple months ago, and now all of a sudden I'm a pirate. Whatever. I'm just having fun with whatever I'm doing. Okay, there we go. All right, so we see Luffy in the East Blue after he had defeated Arlong, he has his first bounty, 30 million. Also, Usopp has also been issued a bounty of 30 million. He was on the wanted poster as well, so that counts. Straw Hat Luffy has stepped into the spotlight. We see a brief scene with Sabo and Dragon, where Sabo, keep in mind, he's still amnesiac at this point. He doesn't remember, he's an animaniac. Sabo he doesn't remember Luffy or Ace or anything like that, right? So Dragon just goes up to Sabo after seeing Luffy's wanted poster of 30 million and is just like, Sabo, I'm going to Log Town. And Sabo's like, why? No reason. By the way, who's in charge there? I think that's Captain Smoker. Yeah, I better go to Log Town, alright? I like that idea because that kind of gives Smoker a little bit of, Dragon's kind of talking Smoker up a little bit there, at least to the point of, like, Smoker, huh? Yeah, he's a Logia. And he's also a kind of no-nonsense. He's one of the Marines that'll actually be competent. Like, you gotta remember how badass Smoker was back at Logtown, alright? If Dragon didn't show up, Smoker would have captured Luffy. There was nothing he could do. He didn't have hockey. He didn't have any idea how to fight Smoker. Smoker was like one of the, if not the strongest characters in One Piece introduced up to that point. There was Mihawk, obviously, that was introduced at the Baratier, but at a certain point in this story, it went Mihawk, Smoker. We didn't know about Crocodile yet. We didn't know, I guess, Shanks. Okay, it went Shanks, Mihawk, then Smoker. Smoker was top 3 at one point in this story. And then Dragon showed up immediately after Smoker, and then he got bumped down a few more notches there. But I think Dragon is just being like, all right, Smoker's a pretty competent Marine, and also he's a Logia, and Luffy doesn't have hockey. I better go make sure he gets to the Grand Line if he wants to go be a pirate. All right, I'll go make sure he's okay there. And we actually do see a shot of Smoker there, and he's just like looking at Luffy's wanted poster like, this is my next prey, huh? Maybe building up some Smoker hype for Season 2 of the One Piece live-action Netflix. We had that post-credit scene where you just saw Smoker at his desk like, dun 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 dun. Oh man, Smoker, man, he's coming Season 2. All right. We also see a shot of Ace and Jinbei. Jinbei, of course, you know, visits Whitebeard's ship quite a bit just to hang out and have some drinks. And Jinbei's there and he's just like, what? This brat took down Arlong? Yeah, Jinbei. That's my little brother. Isn't it cool? He's awesome. And then Jinbei's like, what? Jinbei's like, what? He took down Arlong and all of Karubi? Hachi was there? What? How did that happen? Oh, it was nice seeing Jinbei's reaction to that, actually. Something we never really got to see, Jinbei's first reaction to Arlong getting taken down. All right. But don't worry, everybody. Arlong will have a second chance because this Saturday on December 23rd, I'm going to plug this because it's for charity. I'll be doing my annual St. Jude Children's Hospital charity stream on this channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be doing an anime crossover tournament. I did a big stream a couple of days ago talking about who the fighters are and who's going to be fighting who, and all the different like locations, and there's various variables, I should say, on the fights. And in round 1, we got Kobeni from Chainsaw Man versus Arlong from One Piece. Who's gonna win? They could end up fighting in the desert, or they could end up fighting in Atlantis, or, you know, Kobeni could get a laser rifle. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. Tune in Saturday to find out. Okay, anyway. We also have Bonney there, cheering in front of her crew, the rules of piracy. Okay, men, time for the ironclad rules of piracy. Plunder whatever you want. I mean, if it's from bad people. And also, don't help a soul, unless they really need it. Yeah, Captain Bonney, let's go! We also see the point where not Nami. I don't know why I said Nami. Nami is somewhere. Where's Nami at right now? She's somewhere in the lab. We haven't seen the regular Straw Hats in forever. We see Bonney trying on some lipstick for the first time, and then also adding the piercing under her right eye. Okay, wait, right eye. Yeah, it's her right eye. And so she's like, oh, well, if Dad doesn't see something on my cheek right here, he might not recognize it's me. So I gotta put a piece of jewelry there. So that's where she gets the little piercing that she put under her eye. And yeah, that's the origin of that. Okay, cool. We also are now cutting to the new world at Egghead, where the pacifista prototypes are now pretty much completely done. This was something very fascinating that I learned, was that the pacifistas that we see at like Sabaody, they were like right off of the assembly line. Like this happened while the Straw Hats, like to give you an idea, when Luffy left Fuchsia at the beginning of the story, the pacifistas weren't ready yet. And then by the time they reached Sabaody, that was like one of their first test runs, okay? So that gives you an idea of how long it took for these things to be manufactured, okay? So we see a whole lineup of the original model pacifistas, the prototypes. We see tanks that go all the way up to number 10, but there could be even more than that. The Straw Hats fought the PX-4 at Sabaody. That's the one they all had to work together, like Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji had to do that combo attack to take one of the PXs down. And then the PX-1 showed up. Kuma set that one flying, probably back to the lab. And then there was also, I think the PX-5 was there. I think that fought against, like, there was one that fought against Kid and Law. And then there were a few others, I think. The ones that showed up, I think, at Sabaody after the time skip was PX-7 and PX-5, I think. So the numbers were there, but they were all the same model. The models after Kuma, right? Okay. And then they're all going to show up. There was a lot more than 10 now that I realized, because when they showed up at Marineford, there were, like, I think several dozen of these. I mean, there were a lot. Okay, there might have been upwards of like 30, 40, maybe even 50 of the things at Marineford. There were a lot that were there that Sentomaru was commanding, okay? So, you know, there's this moment where Kuma's walking through this hallway of nothing but him. It's just like a bunch of versions of him in tanks. It's like that scene in Toy Story 2 where Buzz is walking through the toy aisle and he sees all the different Buzz Lightyears all lined up. Like, so Kuma's like, this is unsettling. Oh, gee, Quasar, you think so? I think it's scientastic. You know, it's like, okay, all right, yeah. Anyway, did you hear, though? It turns out some rookies declared war on the world government at Enies Lobby. What? Dragon had a son? And the son is a pirate? And he went to Enies Lobby and he blew it up with a buster call? How did that even happen? It's like, yeah, I'll tell you, because, I mean, it's kind of a secret. Nobody's really supposed to know Luffy's dragon's son, but you're gonna look at my memories anyway, so I guess it's fine, right? Maybe the reason why Kuma didn't want to, you know, interact with Bonney was because maybe he was afraid it would come back to Vegapunk, like Vegapunk would be the one to get punished. Like, if Kuma and Bonney were just like, all right, we're done with this, I'm leaving the warlords, let's get out of here, and just uses his paw powers to fly away, since the government can't attack Bonney or Kuma anymore, they might just go after Vegapunk and kill him. So maybe Vegapunk's that type of leverage, and obviously Kuma doesn't want Vegapunk to die, so, you know, maybe that was it, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, he's like, yeah, you're gonna study my memories anyway, so I might as well just tell you now, it doesn't really matter. A man with rubber powers, standing up to the government. What a quirk of fate. Sounds just like the god that I literally worship named Nika. I wonder. You know, and so Kuma's like, as he's, you know, reading about Luffy's exploits and the exploits of the Straw Hats, like Arlong, and then, well, I guess Crocodile would have been covered up because that's the case there. Smoker ended up with the credit there, although he didn't want to. Skypiea, that was all, you know, that was obviously not reported about. So the first big story, honestly, was Arlong, and then the second one would have been Enies Lobby. Luffy did get an extra bounty after defeating Crocodile, but the government was like keeping it a secret that he's the one that did that. They raised his bounty, but they didn't actually say why, right? So then I guess it went Arlong and then Enies Lobby a few months later and be like, yeah, so Enies Lobby happened. Now we're cutting to Thriller Bark, the magnificent moment. I've been using magnificent and marvelous a lot in this video. Oh well, it's Christmas time, it's fine. Anyway, so we have Thriller Bark. We have this from kind of Kuma's perspective where he's like, I've been given the order to wipe you all out, but give me the head of your captain, Straw Hat Luffy, and I will spare your lives. And everybody on Thriller Bark, not just the Straw Hats. I mean, the Straw Hats were obviously, hell no! But also Lola and the Rolling Pirates and all the other members of the Thriller Bark Victims Association, they were also like, no, we're not doing that! And so Kuma's like, what a shame. Ursus shock. Boom! Dun 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 dun. Ursus a shock. Okay, I'll admit it. I'll say it right now. I was hired to do all of the Foley and sound effects and soundtracks for the new One Piece anime. Wit Studio contacted me and they were like, all right, Tekking, we need a full soundtrack for this new anime adaptation. We decided to go to you. And so that was my version of the difficult soundtrack. I think I did a good job. I think it's going to be great. And I can't wait for this to be animated. It's going to be marvelous. Okay, there it is again. Okay, anyway. He uses the Ursus shock. We have the moment where he's facing down Zoro, the nothing happened moment, okay? And Zoro's there, and he's like, Luffy's the man, he's gonna be king of the pirates. And he's like, all right, well, if you want to take his place, then here's this bubble. We get an added little bit of, it's the same scene, but we have it from Kuma's perspective, so we get to know what Kuma was thinking during this time, and I love this. I love the idea that we're doing the same scene, but Kuma's like, we can hear his monologue, like his internal thoughts here. So he makes the giant pain bubble, he rejects Luffy's pain and exhaustion from fighting Moria and oars, and then he even thinks to himself, like, oh man, this is a lot of damage. This might be enough to even knock me out. So Kuma's there even thinking like, oh, this is a lot of damage I'm rejecting from this Straw Hat Kid. If Zoro takes this, I would probably get knocked out cold if I took this. And so that gives you even more of a perspective on the amount of pain. The Kuma, who at this point was already at 100%, Kuma didn't really fight anybody at this point. He's like, this would probably knock me out if I took this. And Zoro, who's beat up 8 ways to Sunday after fighting Moria and everybody in oars. He's like, I'll take it. And as we all know, nothing happened, right? Okay. And then we see Kuma as he's departing Thriller Bark. He's like, he has exceptional friends, just as I'd expect from your son, Dragon. And there we go. Now we're cutting to the Sabaody Archipelago, where, by the way, I always found it so damn sad. Since we're mentioning this now, Thriller Bark to Sabaody. How long do you think that was? A week? 2 weeks? They had to go and travel, and they also had to deal with the whole thing with Duval at his little area. But how long do you think it was from Thriller Bark to Sabaody? I'm going to say 2 weeks, okay? Not very long. The reason I bring that up, and what is always so tragic to me, Brooke was part of the crew for 2 weeks before they got separated. That's always so sad to me. Like, Brooke was alone for 50 years. He finally found friends. They asked him to join their crew. They didn't judge him for being a skeleton. And they're like, oh my god, I finally found people that care about me. I get the hell out of this hellhole. Yay! And then 2 weeks later, he gets popped off to a sad, gloomy island where they think he's Satan or something, and then he gets captured by the Long-Arm tribe, and it's just like, oh man. But Brooke stood through it. He's just like, they are still my friends, even though I've only known them for like less than a month. They are my friends. I am going to get back to them someday, so way to go, Brooke. Anyway, as Kuma is approaching the archipelago, because he plays a major role in this arc as well, this is when he gets the phone call that says, hey, there's going to be a big war, Ace is going to be executed, which means Whitebeard's probably going to show up, and he's going to have a bunch of allies. He's a Yonko. All warlords are required to arrive at Marineford for this. If you do not show up, you will be abolishing your title. You'll be handing away your title, and you're going to be an enemy to us now. You have to come to this. And obviously, Kuma is just like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna be there, don't worry about it. And he's like, yeah, because Kuma's a very reliable individual, so, it was more of like Boa, for example. Like, they weren't sure Boa was gonna show up, and Jinbei was vehemently opposed to this, so that's why he got thrown and impelled down because of that. Still technically a warlord. He was still a warlord until he resigned at Marineford in front of everybody, right? By the way that Jinbei quit his job is, like, the best. He waited until an actual war, and then Sengoku was up there, and he's just like, I'm handing in my resignation letter. Damn it, Jinbei! It's just like, that's a good way to quit your job. That's a boss move, Jinbei. All right. Anyway, they talk a little bit about, Whitebeard showing up, and, he's like, what? The Whitebeard? Oh, man, this is going to be nuts. So now we have the shots of the Sabaody Archipelago, where Bonney was first introduced in the story, like 11 years. No, it's been over that. 2009, I want to say. Shit, when was Sabaody? I know that the time skip was 2010. probably like, and that was, you still had all of Marineford before that, and Impel Down before that, and Amazon Lily. This moment where Bonney was first introduced, I want to say it's probably like 2008, 2009, maybe something like that. So yeah, we're like 15, 16 years or something. Pretty close to it, yeah. Anyway, Bonnie's in the restaurant and she's just eating pizza. Remember, that was how she was first introduced. Like, pizza! Give me more pizza! It was the same restaurant where, like, Beiji was eating in. Just like, someone shut that broad up. I'm trying to eat. And then Hawkins also arrived, I think, and somebody spilled spaghetti on Hawkins' crew's pants. And he's like, such was the fate of your pants. Back when the supernovas were like, whoa, what's this guy gonna do? He's got like magic fortune-telling powers. That's crazy. I'm sure he's gonna do something cool. He doesn't. Anyway, Bonnie's there eating pizza, and Kuma is actually watching from the window. This is what I mean by, like, Back to the Future Part 2 shit, where you have the restaurant and then the window, and Kuma's like this big, giant, like, guy that's, like, peering in the window, seeing Bonnie eating the pizza, and he's just like, oh, Bonnie, this'll probably be the last time I get to see your face. You've become a great pirate. And it's funny, because you see, like, people outside that aren't really witnessing him, but then Kuma's, like, looking into like there's like these two old people like having a nice elderly couple that are just having a meal in this restaurant that they're just like, oh, I think I'll take honey, what do you feel about the clam chowder? Ooh, I like clam chowder. I'll take a bowl of your finest chowder. Okay, Meredith. Oh, it's been lovely having this meal with you. There's like 3 supernovas over there on the other side of the restaurant. Maybe we should just avoid them. Yeah, I think so. And then Kuma's head is just like slowly going over the window. And they're like, oh, no, dear. Why do we live on this archipelago? Maybe they don't live there. Maybe they were just visiting. Maybe this was their vacation for, like, they're elderly. And they're like, why do we always come to this archipelago? There's always pirates everywhere. Now there's robots blowing everything up. This is horrible. Anyway, so Kuma got to see his daughter one last time before he was transformed, because we know that in between Sabaody all the way up to Marineford, that is when he became the PX-0. So it's shortly after this. We see the auction house where Kuma hears the ruckus going on inside that Luffy punched out Sharlos. So he warps to the ceiling and he's like, so the whole events, go back and watch the events of the auction house and Rayleigh using conquerors and everybody's in there fighting everybody and Usopp lands on Sharlos and everything. Kuma was like on the roof the entire time, like looking down, watching the whole thing. I love that. That actually has a name, by the way. In one of, I don't know if it was like a regular data book. I think it was a book on like extra information for the anime or whatever. But it was called One Piece White. And it actually gave a name to the event where Luffy punched out Sharlos. It is called the Celestial Dragon Hit and Run Incident. Okay? And it's a very, very high-profile event in the One Piece story. And then right after that is when Usopp fell on Roswald, and that was known as the Sit and Run Incident. Okay? Very big incidents that happened back-to-back there, okay? But yeah, Kuma's up there, and he's like, somebody hit a Celestial Dragon? Why would they do that? We're so close to Marine HQ. It's right there. That's insanity that somebody would do that. And he goes up there and he sees that it's Luffy and he sees the Straw Hats and he's like, them again. He did it to protect a fishman? Straw Hat Luffy. No one has done anything that bold in hundreds of years. It's treason. He might be the actual sun god, Also, I love that he mentions no one has done anything that bold in hundreds of years. I wonder who the last person that did it was. He could have been referring all the way back to Joy Boy. It could have been, I'm sure Joy Boy punched out some celestial dragons in his day. Maybe it was somebody else, though. Maybe it was some other incarnation of Joy Boy in the last few hundreds of years that did something. Also, the way he's implying this, even Roger didn't do this. Roger, lived only 20-something years ago. Kuma's talking like no one has assaulted the celestial dragons on this level in hundreds of years. So that Luffy did something that maybe even Roger didn't pull. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. Might have been referring all the way back to Joy Boy, but there might have been somebody else, like maybe 400 years ago. Maybe it was Ryuma. Ryuma went around and sliced up some dragons. Maybe it happened. I don't know. We now cut to the scene at the Grove where they're all being separated, you know, where the PX-1 is there, Kuma sends it flying, Sentomaru's there, Kizaru's there, Rayleigh's there. It's just madness, right? And so, he says, like, Dragon, Eva, I'm sorry that I'm deserting you without any kind of word, okay? That's also when Ivankov does end up meeting Kuma again at Marineford. Kuma doesn't recognize Eva because his memories are gone, right? So he's apologizing to them there because he didn't get a chance to say goodbye to his close friends one last time. At least he got to see Bonney one last time, you know? But Kuma laments that at least he can leave his own quiet mark on the world. So this is like Kuma's swan song, as it were. He's like, I am going to die soon. And we see it later in this chapter, his memories and his personality just being wiped. We see that later. But he's like, at least Bonney is going to be a great pirate, and she's going to change the world. And Dragon's son, Straw Hat Luffy, that's the legacy I leave behind. He might be the one to actually change the world as well. He might be the incarnation of the sun god. I'm getting the feeling that he is. So Kuma understands what's going to happen to him, but he's kind of like, all right, at least Bonney and Luffy are going to change the world that I never could. Something like that, you know? Then you have the tearful moment where Luffy's on the ground and he's just like crying and bawling his eyes out like, I couldn't save any of them, my crew! And Kuma's like, oh, you got it wrong, Luffy. Oh man, this is rough. The new world is really tough. You'll understand soon. You understand I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm not killing your crew. You can't go to the new world yet. You need to train up, and then you can go, okay? But anyway, yeah, oh, you're bawling. Oh, your mucus is coming down your nose. Okay, I'm just gonna pop. Just gonna send him flying, all right, to Amazon Lily, right? You will someday save the world. And by the way, Luffy did, all of the Straw Hats realize this. Now, at the moment, they were obviously all upset, like, oh my god, our crew, everyone's gone! Because they didn't know what was happening. Kuma might have been popping them into an extra dimensional space or killing them right there. They didn't know, you know what I mean? They were freaking out, but yes, after a few days have passed and the Straw Hats all had a moment to, like, assess their surroundings and realize what Kuma actually did, they figured it out, where it was like, Kuma sent us off to help us, not to punish us, not to defeat us. The New World is really, really dangerous. There's a lot of really strong pirates are there. The Yonko are there. Really strong Marines are there. We need to sit still and train up for 2 years until we can really get there, okay? So Luffy realized this, all the other crew realized this, and they do get it, okay? But at the moment, yeah, it would have been terrifying. So now we're cutting back to Egghead, where Saturn is messaging Vegapunk and is going on even more of a list of egregious demands. Saturn is now like, you know what? We should be safe and install a self-destruct mechanism into Kuma. You're gonna have to whip that up for me, Vegapunk. And Vegapunk's like, are you kidding me? I'm already... Like, is there any aspect of this man's life that you do not want to, like, you want to not ruin, you know? It's like, geez, you turned him into a mindless cyborg. We cloned him into a bunch of death terminators. He can't see his daughter anymore. And now you want to install a nuke in his chest? What is wrong with you people? I already set you at the top level of the hierarchy, Command. What else do you want? And it's like, well, what would happen if he went rogue and we weren't around to order him around? We should install the rose bomb inside of him just in case. Saturn had been watching Hunter x Hunter. He's like, I was watching this anime, Hunter x Hunter. There's this fight between this old man and this guy. He's like an ant or something. We should put a bomb in Kuma's chest. That should probably be good, right? Wait a minute, Kuma has a bomb in his chest. Oh, wait a minute, Kuma has a bomb in his chest! Oh my god! Yes! Yeah, baby! Oh, yeah, okay. Kuma's landing at Egghead. Straw Hats, the satellites, everybody that's good is gonna get off that island. Kuma, Netero moment. Boom! He is nuking Egghead. Saturn is getting point blank nuked by that bomb. I am telling you right now. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah. The hubris, pride cometh before the fall, doesn't it, dipshit? Oh, yeah. That's gonna be that. People were saying that, like, all the damage that he had accumulated, like, from Akainu and all of the Marines, like, Kuma was gonna reject that and damage Saturn. Oh no, I got a better idea. Vegapunk certified, copyrighted nuclear bomb in Kuma's chest. And you know Vegapunk knows how to make weapons, alright? Oh man. So Egghead's probably going to be obliterated. The Straw Hats are going to escape, the Satellites are going to escape, Bonnie's going to escape, Stussy will probably escape, and then Kuma's going to detonate. He's going to, like, I am now activating my nuke. It's going to be like an Android 16 moment, but it's actually going to follow through. Oh, man. Because the way it implies it, he did put the bomb in. He's like, because he's going on, he's like, I already gave you the hierarchy command. He's like, I don't care, you have to do it. I'm not interested in the opinions of a scientist for hire. And so Vegapunk does agree to do it because he says, okay, fine. In exchange for me installing a nuke inside of Kuma's chest, can you at least let me keep his ego intact? And Vegapunk goes on to say that he developed a switch that allows him, like, listen, what we can do is I installed this device where we can switch and alternate between his personality and his, unthinking robot. So, it works out for you guys. If you ever want Kuma to just obey an order no matter what, you can flip the switch, and then he will. But if he doesn't, he could switch back and he can at least still keep his humanity a little bit. At least let me test it. And Saturn just shuts him down. He's just like, I've given the order, Vegapunk, do it. I don't want a single trace of individuality left. Not a single shred of compassion left in Kuma. Kuma's gonna be on that island about to detonate. Saturn's gonna be there, and he's gonna be like, wait, Kuma, no, don't you have any humanity? Oh, wait, yeah, no, he doesn't. Oh, crap, I'm dead. Boom! That's gonna be fun. I want Kuma to... Everybody in agreement with that? Everybody in agreement with Kuma just, at least his body, the PX-0, just obliterating in a bomb and then just wiping Saturn out along the way? This, like, 7 or 8 chapter flashback that started from God Valley all the way up to now, that is the conclusion of Egghead. That is the conclusion. That's the big event. That's the big event that shocked the world. Kuma detonated a hydrogen bomb and then killed one of the Gorosei. Oh, yeah! That'll do it. That'll do it. Man. All right, anyway, we now cut to the moment where Kuma dies. This is a vigil, basically, where Vegapunk is like, well, actually, Kuma's the one that says, hey, I overheard your conversation with Saturn. I appreciate that you care about this, Vegapunk. I appreciate that you care so much about me, that you would try to make a switch, like anything you could possibly do. But it's okay. It's okay. I've made my peace at this point. And Vegapunk's like, okay then, well, today's the day. Lay back and hook up all the, we're going to erase your personality. It was fun. And so Vegapunk's there, and he's like, it was fun meeting you and, hanging out for 2 years, but the day's finally here. It's also looking like your first assignment's going to be fighting in a war with Whitebeards, so probably best you don't have your personality for that. That looks pretty scary. Anyway, and I have an entire battalion of pacifistas ready to go for that, so yeah. Also, this is the point where Kuma asks Vegapunk to program the, to protect the Thousand Sunny for 2 years. This is something interesting. I overlooked something that Saturn actually said. An earlier complaint I had in this arc was, why didn't Vegapunk just, lie? Why didn't Vegapunk just oh yeah, Gorosei, you're at the highest level of the hierarchy for the command structure. Why didn't Vegapunk just lie about that and install, a security workaround in order to, take control of everything if he really wanted to? He's the scientist here, right? Well, Saturn does say something about that. He says, I, too, am a man of science. If you attempt to deceive me, I'll know and you will die. So the implication is, the Gorosei aren't stupid when it comes to science, okay? The idea is that Saturn knows a decent amount about science as well. He's the godhead of scientific defense. So it's like if Vegapunk tried to work around that and I'll install that switch into Kuma's brain without telling Saturn. Saturn would know. He would have the knowledge to check. Now, how would Saturn know that if he's this immortal being that's lived all that time ago? Well, remember, the ancient kingdom was scientifically advanced, maybe even more advanced than Egghead. if Saturn had been alive since that ancient kingdom existed, he might have been a scientist in the ancient kingdom. He might have been the Vegapunk of his day. The only reason they're using Vegapunk now is maybe Vegapunk is a little better, and also the Gorosei don't want to do their work themselves. You know, they was like, leave it to Vegapunk, leave it to him. We're the rulers of the world. I'm not going to go and build an army of robots. Leave that to Vegapunk, right? So it's possible Saturn might have the knowledge and the information to be like, yeah, you lied to me. This isn't a hierarchy for the Gorosei. You installed a workaround so you could take control if you wanted to. Oh, gee shucks. Yeah, you're dead. Boom. And then, like, that could have been it. So that's the reason, right? But that leads to another little bit of a plot issue, okay? Kuma asks Vegapunk to program, I want to be the obstinate guardian of the Thousand Sunny for 2 years. And Vegapunk agrees, because that's what he does. Until Frankie shows up after the time skip and then he leaves. Okay. Why would the Gorosei be okay with that? So you mean to tell me, after the war, Kuma shows up at the Sabaody Archipelago and stays there guarding the Straw Hat's ship for 2 years. And the Gorosei never questioned that. Like, Saturn was never like, where's Kuma, Vegapunk? Oh, he's out doing stuff. Where is Kuma, Vegapunk? Yeah, he's protecting the Straw Hat's ship at Sabaody because I kind of programmed it into him. Okay, well, that's high treason. It is like, I don't get where that came from. Kuma vanished for 2 years and no one, like, the Gorosei never got involved with that. Other warlords didn't get involved in that. The Marines didn't get involved in that. It was just like, yeah, Kuma's protecting the Straw Hats, one of the biggest enemies of the world government's ship for 2 years. And apparently Saturn is right here threatening Vegapunk. Like, if you do anything to deceive us, we're gonna kill you. Like, and well, he did something to deceive them. You know, it's like that's a little bit of an issue there. I'm not really sure. Maybe that might get explained later too. We'll find out. But anyway, we have Kuma holding up Luffy's bounty poster. This is back after Eni's lobby, so the 300 million. And he's like, his actions have really moved me, Vegapunk. You know, I know the sun god is meant to just be a legend. I always thought that maybe he wasn't real. Like, I always preached his message, but I know he is just a story that the slaves told, but it's something about this kid, Luffy. The fact that he has the rubber powers, his personality, the way he punched out a celestial dragon and gave zero shits about that, and the way he did it in order to protect a fishman. If there's anybody out there that embodies Nika, if Nika turns out to be a real person, it's this kid. It's Luffy. I believe it'll be him. He will be the one to save the world. And so we have a moment where Vegapunk asks Kuma to remove his memory bubble. The memory bubble we see in the paw room, right? And so Kuma's like, oh yes, of course. So he removes his memories. And Vegapunk even is like, so when you remove those memories, do you still have your memories? And he's like, oh yeah, this is basically just like a copy. You know, this isn't really my, like, all my memories. Like, I still remember stuff. It's just a copy of my memories. However, somebody that touches this, it'll disappear. And Vegapunk's like, oh, don't worry about that. I built a special room, a special mechanism so I can study your memories without touching it, okay? And then we, of course, see later during the story, Bonney activates the memories, and then she sees everything, and then that's where she learns it. By the way, all the letters that Kuma wrote and everything, Bonney learned about that through the memories. So she still got the letters, which is nice. Yeah, okay, that's nice. Anyway, so Kuma sits down, he takes the memory bubbles out, and he's just reminiscing about my life as Vegapunk is like, okay, you're a scientist, Vegapunk. This is for science. You gotta remove somebody's personality, but it's all for science. And so he's trying to steel himself to do this. Kuma's laying back in the machine, and he's just like, it kind of looks like an MRI. It kind of looks like a thing that's like scanning his head, and it has like stuff like hooked up. And he's like, so this is my life. I wonder how many people were troubled or harmed by my actions. And then we see a whole page that is, oh, this is beautiful. This page is marvelous, as it were. No, it is absolutely just so wholesome. It is pretty much the entire flashback that we've been going on since chapter 1095, so like for the last 7-8 chapters, all compressed in a single page. It's Clap and Kuma's mom holding a baby Kuma, and then Kuma running as he's a slave, and then meeting Ivankov and Ginny, and then running as a priest, as the pastor of the church, meeting Dragon, and then Gyo and Tots and the other fishermen of the village. And then we see Ginny as an adult, and then we see Kuma running even more as Bonney is there. He's like, Daddy! And then we see Kuma in his modern outfit, like running, and Kuma is going to Vegapunk, and Vegapunk's like, I can cure her, Kuma! I'm so grateful, thank goodness. And then you just see this scene where Vegapunk has he just has to pull the switch. He just has to pull the switch, and Kuma's memories, he's killing a man, basically. Once he pulls this, it's gone. He's dead, all right? Just a husk of his former self, that is it. A corpse walking, a robot, a Terminator, and nothing more. And Vegapunk is bawling. He's like, I don't know if I do it. All the other people in the lab, all the other assistants wearing the lab coats and everything, they're like silently praying. Sentomaru is there praying, and then Vegapunk is there, and then Kuma's like, thank you. Just one last thing, Vegapunk. Make sure to tell Bonney, happy 10th birthday. And Vegapunk's like, I know, Quasar. And dude, it's like, you see the skies above, like the sun is shining down on Egghead, like the heavens themselves are weeping. And then you just see Kuma like, tell Bonney, happy 10th birthday. Murder.exe now online. Where do I go to exterminate pirate scum? Oh, I've killed a man, Quasar! Oh! Oh, God, that's intense. Then we cut back to not the present story, but the night in between, when at Egghead, when everything was going on that we still don't know about 100%, where we see Bonney in the paw room crying. If you see her again, could you tell her happy 10th birthday? The end of the chapter is Bonney in the paw room after here. She is now everything we just read in the last few months. That is how Bonney perceived it. From Kuma's birth to becoming a slave, going to God Valley, meeting Ivankov and Ginny, everything with the revolutionaries, everything at the church, everything with the revolutionaries. Did I say that already? Sure, whatever. And then blah, 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 blah. And then, saving the kingdom from Bakori like 3 damn times. And then everything with Ginny getting captured. And then Bonney. And then the Sapphire Scale. And then, Vegapunk. And then Saturn and everything. And then the revolutionaries again. And then going to meet Luffy. And then going around the world. And going to Thriller Bark. And then going to Sabaody. And then going back to the lab and the army of robots. And then everything, that was how she was viewing it. Like, it's like a movie. The most tragic movie you've ever watched in your damn life. And Bonney was in the IMAX, 4-dimension seat, okay? And she's like, please wish her a happy 10th birthday. And she's and then that's the end of the chapter. Break next week, which means not a new chapter until the following year, until 2024. Man, ending this year on a high note. I mean, it is a high note. It is a really good chapter. Really marvelous conclusion to the flashback arc with Kuma. But it is a tearjerker, man. It is a real tearjerker. Yeah, okay. So, I guess we're getting back to Egghead. Getting back to the story. I mean, honestly, once you factor in this flashback, and all the chapters that took place in the other parts of the world, like with Garp and Shanks. And you also factor in the break that Oda took in the summer, like a month long. Once you extrapolate all that and put it all together, we didn't really have that much progress at Egghead this year. But that's okay, because I think that's all next year what's going to be. I mean, Egghead's probably going to conclude next year. We might be going to Elbaf, maybe, halfway through the year, or maybe a little bit after that. I don't know. But, Egghead will be concluding in 2024 from, what I'm seeing here, okay? And we're going to get back to that. Yeah, the question is, are we going to go back to the present with Saturn, choking Bonney, or are we going to go to see what happened the night before and conclude on that front, with the battle with the Seraphim and everything? I don't know. Oh, man, that was an intense chapter. But, yeah, I think all of the decisions that Saturn made, this cool, callous decisions that he was like, take away Kuma's personality. I don't want a shred of humanity left in him. Place a bomb in him just in case he goes rogue. By the way, he went rogue. He was going rogue attacking Redline and then Marijois. Why didn't they just detonate him? Well, probably because he was in Marijois. But why wouldn't they detonate the bomb while he's traveling to... maybe Vegapunk did pull a fast one. Maybe he either didn't install the bomb or he did install the bomb, but special security privileges on who gets to activate the bomb. Maybe something like that, right? Okay, maybe. But I think Kuma has a nuke in his chest, and he's going to detonate that in front of Saturn after everybody gets away, and that's going to be the conclusion of Kuma. That's how he's going to die, because I think the Pawpaw Fruit needs to reincarnate. Somebody else, I think, is getting the Pawpaw Fruit. I think that is happening, okay? There's a lot of hullabaloo about the Paw Fruit, so I think Kuma's body is going to detonate, the fruit's going to reincarnate somewhere, maybe Vivi will get it, maybe somebody of the other Straw Hats will get it, who knows? But, yeah, that's One Piece 2023. Hope you guys enjoyed. It was a pretty intense one. Anything else in particular? Vegapunk obviously being very distraught about all this. All the parallels going on between Bonney and Luffy as their adventures are going on side by side. The different perspective of everything. That was really cool to see that. But yeah, really high quality chapter. All right. Well, anyway, thanks everybody. Once again, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to all. And this Saturday I'll be doing my charity stream for St. Jude. Make sure to come by and say hey. Be doing this crossover tournament, and should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun. Hope we can raise. Last year we raised around 23,000 for St. Jude. Maybe we can hit 30 this year. We'll see what happens. But yeah, appreciate it, everybody. Teching signing out. Later.